Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Foreclosure Help 777, where we talk about everything foreclosure related. Today we're going to talk about Aleta Chapman's case and how it's moving through the courts. She's got a federal case, and if you are new to my channel, if you go to PACER, the Southern District of Texas, Houston, the civil docket number is 424 CV 03260, and you can see how her case has gone through the court system. You can see when it was removed initially from the state to the federal court, August of 2024, and then it went through. She filed an amended complaint on 9/9/24. The other side allowed that. Well, the other side filed a motion to dismiss, and then she filed an opposition to their motion to dismiss. So if you look at the very last entry anyway, you'll see that on January 8, 2025, there was an initial conference which was basically scheduled, and that they don't want to move forward with discovery until the motion to dismiss has been adjudicated. So we're waiting on the motion to dismiss in federal court is what's happening. But since that filing, the other side decided to file an eviction on her in the 400th District Court in Fort Bend. And if you look, you can also look at this, but I'm going to show you what's been going on in the eviction court. They tried to evict her while she had a case in federal court, and she filed a bunch of motions back, a motion to dismiss and other things, saying that they don't have jurisdiction, which they don't. And then she removed it. You can see here, notice of removal on 9/9/24. And then from 9/9/24 to, well, it was abated on 9/17. But you can see that it went from 9/17/24 to 3/17/25. So, was that a good 6 months? Yeah. 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. Yeah, 6 months. It gave her 6 more months by removing it, and then it got remanded back. So it didn't stay in federal. She should have maybe tried to consolidate the cases together like Marlon Lewis is trying to do. I don't know. They remanded it back. Then they tried to get her to go to a court hearing. She asked them to reschedule that court hearing. And then you'll see down here, all the way down, you'll see that the case was dismissed on 4/22/25 for want of prosecution. So you look, there was all these other supplemental motions that she was filing as well. Look at that one, 4/21, judicial notice of fraud upon the court. And then another one, she filed a motion to void substitute trustee's deed and relief for Q warranto. And defendant supplemental objection to motion to dismiss. I mean, she's due to ultravirus. So she's basically fighting them with everything she's got, as you can see, because they don't have jurisdiction, and they know it. And so let's look at the eviction ruling and see what it looks like. Okay, here's the eviction court ruling. Order of dismissal for want of prosecution. On this 22nd day of April 2025, came for consideration by the court in the above numbered and entitled cause, wherein U.S. Bank Trust National Association, not in its individual capacity, but solely as owner trustee for RCF2 Acquisition Trust, plaintiff did not appear, and Aleta Renee Chapman, defendant, did appear via video conference. It is therefore ordered, adjudged, and decreed by the court that the case be, and the same is hereby ordered, dismissed for want of prosecution. Signed and entered on this 22nd day of April. So the case was pretty much dismissed because the other side did not show up. And you got to wonder, why didn't they show up? Let's take a look at one of her last motions real quick so we can see that. She filed something called defendant's objection to scheduled bench trial set for April 22nd and demand to halt proceedings due to lack of jurisdiction, violations of federal law, and fraud upon the court. Okay, so I mean, she's basically going after them for lack of subject matter jurisdiction, which again they don't have, and the eviction court does not have jurisdiction to look at title dispute matters. Color of law violations, civil rights and due process violations, discrimination and unequal application of law. RICO collusion. I mean, she's going after them for everything she's got. And I don't think that the judge really wanted to be in a situation where she'd get in trouble, get sued. Okay, and this is the motion she did to void substitute trustee's deed and relief for quo warranto. If you're not familiar with that term, this is a learning opportunity for you guys. So the introduction basically asks the court, she wants the issues of a writ of quo warranto to challenge the authority of the plaintiff, U.S. Bank, as trustee for the RCF Acquisition Trust to proceed with the foreclosure and eviction actions against defendant based on the following facts. The foreclosure on the property at 16118 Chamomile Court is contested due to wrongful and improper actions by the plaintiff and related entities. The defendant contends that the plaintiff does not have legal standing or authority to foreclose or evict or take possession as detailed below. The defendant asserts that the plaintiff has failed to demonstrate valid ownership or a legal right to enforce the substitute trustee's deed, and there are unresolved issues surrounding the chain of title which is currently being litigated in federal court. So she gives a factual background of the invalid lien, the lack of standing, no transfer of title, and the law where it says Texas Property Code 51002 governs foreclosure process and requires that the party seeking to foreclose must be the holder or assignee of the lien, which typically means holding the original note or proving that they are authorized to act in behalf of the note holder. Improper assignments, false filings, an invalid deed of trust, a 1099A form, which was from the servicer instead of the party that owns it, arguments and authorities. A quo warranto action is a remedy used to challenge whether a person or entity has authority to hold a public or legal position. In this case, the plaintiff's authority to initiate and pursue the foreclosure and eviction proceedings is invalid. The plaintiff has failed to demonstrate standing and valid legal ownership of the property in question, violating Texas Property Code 51002. Lack of standing to foreclose and evict. Under Texas law, to proceed with a foreclosure action, the plaintiff must have perfected title. In this case, the plaintiff has failed to establish ownership of the note or deed of trust as shown by the improper assignments and the absence of the promissory note. A valid assignment or transfer of the foreclosure judgment is missing, further preventing the plaintiff from having standing to enforce the foreclosure or eviction. The plaintiff has failed to demonstrate standing and valid legal ownership of the property in question, violating Texas Property Code. False filings and invalid legal documents. The substitute trustee's deed of trust and assignments are critically flawed, containing improper execution and falsified entries. On July 10, 2024, a substitute trustee's deed was falsely executed and recorded in connection with the foreclosure of the property, and the deed was allegedly executed by somebody named Jeff Leva, acting in behalf of U.S. Bank Trust as trustee for the RCF2 Acquisition Trust. However, as outlined below, the foreclosure process leading to the execution of this deed was fundamentally defective, rendering the deed void and unenforceable. So we're talking about document ID number is associated with a judgment lien in favor of Fannie Mae. Notably, Countrywide Home Loans never filed an original deed of trust nor perfected the lien. These defective documents undermine the legal basis of the eviction action and should be declared invalid by this court. Furthermore, no valid promissory note exists to support the foreclosure. A copy of this substitute trustee's deed is attached as Exhibit A. And it says no valid assignments. There was no recorded assignment from Fannie Mae to Fannie Mae. There is a complete break in the chain of title to the property, highlighting the issue with the authority of the foreclosing party. New Res doing business as Shell Point is the last recorded assignment. However, they are not a party in this action. A copy of this assignment is attached hereto as Exhibit B. And then there's like this timeline of events to kind of help them understand what's going on from 2004 to 2012. We won't get into this, but the timeline is there showing how all these things that have happened in her case and ongoing. Okay, and then a prayer for relief was asked. And then again, you know, sometimes judges do the right thing, and in this case, getting her case dismissed in this case for one of prosecution, you got to wonder why they didn't show up. You know, that just boggles my mind. They were bombarded by all these motions. They don't want to show up because they are guilty of the fraud. There's absolutely no question they're guilty of the fraud. So we all need to congratulate Aleta Chapman for a job well done at fending them off here. It is dismissed. I don't think they're going to file another one. God, I hope not. And if so, she'll just do the same thing again and keep beating them up. That's what you got to do, guys. You've got to be very forceful with your motions. You've got to be very aggressive when you're fighting. And sometimes the aggressiveness works in your favor. And always keep everything in prayer too, guys, because God does work in mysterious ways, as we know. For them not to show up for court is kind of weird. Maybe God had something to do with it. Okay, guys, if anybody has any questions, you can leave me an email. My email address is foreclosurehelp777@gmail.com, or you can leave a comment in the section below. And as always, everyone have a blessed day.